Can Cam Newton and Bill Belichick coexist? One Hall of Famer says,
yes.
I don't think so. And Wiles already says yes. Why in the world are we talking about Kawhi's health already yet again? To all be discussed over the course of the next hour. But on the heels of Patrick Mahomes' new deal, we turn our attention to reigning MVP Lamar Jackson. Is he the next quarterback to get paid? And if so, when? And if yes, what is a fair price for the second youngest MVP in league history? So the Baltimore Sun had this to say: if Mahomes got a reported $450 million and up to $503 million overall, how much could Jackson get? After breaking the bank Monday, Kansas City made Ravens GM Eric DeCosta's job at once a little easier and a little harder thanks to Mahomes' deal. The Ravens know what it costs one team to re-sign a superstar quarterback, and it ain't cheap. Nick, you think the Ravens should commit to Lamar the way the Chiefs committed to Patrick Mahomes?
No, not quite. And that's not a shot at Lamar. I think Lamar's the fourth best quarterback in football, and if you wanted to argue he's second or third, I understand the point. He's consensus top 5 quarterback. But the reason the Chiefs could commit to Patrick Mahomes the way they did is because not only of the seemingly limitless upside of which Lamar shares. Lamar's upside is nearly as high as Patrick's. But because Patrick has, and this is critically important, an incredibly high basement, an incredibly high floor, an incredibly high downside, if you will. The variance between the best and the worst of Mahomes is relatively small. Lamar can't say that. And Lamar also can't say he is a fully formed, totally 100% well-rounded quarterback yet. There are still some holes in his game that unfortunately have been exploited in his couple playoff appearances. And so the Chiefs, people are saying it's $140 million guaranteed, but they have to guarantee each year of the contract a full 15 months before that year starts. So it's almost entirely guaranteed for a decade. And because of that, Broussard, it is the only player in the league I'd be comfortable giving that type of deal to is Russell Wilson. And Russell might be a touch too old. And so it's no shade to Lamar, but this was a once-in-a-lifetime contract, Broussard, for a truly once-in-a-lifetime player in Patrick Mahomes.
In the words of my Odd Couple radio partner, Rob Parker, no way, no how. I'm sorry, there's no way you can give a 10-year or ultimately 12-year contract to Lamar Jackson at this point. And first of all, Patrick Mahomes has won an MVP, as has Lamar, but he's also won a Super Bowl. And he has a style of play that we know, barring, some unforeseen injury, he can last for 12, 15 years or more. The way he plays will last the test of time. Whereas Lamar, as Nick mentioned, he's been exposed a bit in the playoffs, and you wonder if when teams have time to prepare for Lamar, like a couple of weeks, then do they solve him a bit? I know he had big numbers against Tennessee last year, but Tennessee was a wild card team, and the Ravens only put up 12 points, which was like a third of what they did in the regular season. So Lamar, beyond all that, his style of play, I hope it lasts. I've been surprised that he's been able to play it for this long. But even if the number of hits and the wear and tear doesn't eventually get to him, age will get to him, and he'll have to stop running as much. He won't be as shifty. He won't be quite fast over time. And so, no, I'm not sure this style is going to last the test of time. And so he's going to have to become a much better passer, to Nick's point. And at this point, we haven't seen that. So, no, there's no way you can give him a 10-year deal at this point.
Yeah, so here's the weird thing, Broussard. We might see this change like in 3 months. Lamar might stop running the ball. Like the over-under on his yards have gone way down from last year to this year. Mahomes and Lamar have played basically the same amount of games. Mahomes played 3 more games. But Lamar's run the ball 352 times. Nick, Mahomes only run the ball 139 times. It's 200 more times. There's, everyone like holds their breath once Lamar doesn't slide. He hates sliding. Aaron Rodgers after the Packers game was like, hey, slide a bit. I'm like, I got you. And then he never slid. So I think we'll see Lamar sliding a lot more and basically playing a more conservative, safer style. And then, Nick, I have another question. Go wherever you want. You also call Mahomes a once-in-a-lifetime player. Like, we got a long time on this earth, you and I, and Broussard, and we all got a long time. You don't think you're ever going to see a guy like, well, you got 50 more years, 60 more years. I'm drinking Soylent, live 75, 80 more years. Like, you don't think you're going to see another guy like Patrick Mahomes for the rest of your life?
It is hard to look into the future. But who's the oldest person covering the NFL? Probably Gil Brandt. So how many Patrick Mahomes has Gil Brandt seen in his lifetime? One. So like if you were 90 years old right now, he'd be a once-in-a-lifetime player. If you're 5 years old, will he be a once-in-a-lifetime player? Well, I don't know. He might have a son who could, emulate some of what he does. I guess we'll wait and see. But there is an element to every Lamar Jackson conversation that I think goes unsaid that I'm going to go ahead and say, which is before he was drafted, he was subjected to some ludicrous analysis, and it bordered some of it on offensive about how smart he was, his ability to handle an NFL offense, even though he was in a pro-style offense at Louisville. And because of that, folks that wanted to push back on it became deeply entrenched on the other side, which is Lamar's going to be a star, wait and see. Even I think some folks who weren't quite sure of it, they wanted to not be on the wrong side of the argument. And then Lamar comes out and wins a damn MVP, and those folks understandably feel totally vindicated. But I'm one of them. And your gut reaction then is to continue to not only want to double down on it, but also to want to push back against the bad and at times biased pre-draft analysis. And that has caused, in my opinion, Broussard, a bit of a snapback where the biggest Lamar advocates have been hesitant to acknowledge the fact that there are some holes in his game, that it is usually a flashing red light if the two worst games of your career up to this point are the two biggest games of your career. That he's a better passer than a lot of people gave him credit for, Broussard, but still, when teams want to beat them, they try to make him pass. You can be a Lamar Jackson fan and advocate and be on the right side of the draft discussion and still acknowledge those things. And I feel like some people are hesitant to because so much of the conversation surrounding him before the draft was toxic, and they're still trying to push away from it, Chris.
No, I hear what you're saying. And look, the bottom line is this. We have never seen a guy like Lamar Jackson, period. And Michael Vick did not run as much as Lamar Jackson, and quite frankly, didn't run quite as well as Lamar Jackson. So this is all an experiment. Again, I was surprised that he made it the way he did last year throughout the entire season, was healthy. Can he do that again? Look at Cam Newton. He's twice as big as Lamar Jackson, and the hits have taken their toll on him. Over time, they will eventually take their toll. We've talked about it a lot last season, Nick. Lamar's got to improve in passing to his wide receivers, particularly on by the sidelines, outside the numbers. And so if he continues to do that, he's improved greatly last year as far as his passing. If he makes that type of jump this year, he will eventually become more of a pocket passer, not run quite as much. And then we can look at maybe a Patrick Mahomes type deal. But at this point, no, there are still too many question marks.
We talk about Lamar's style of play, but it was Patrick Mahomes who actually got hurt last season. After Lamar and maybe Deshaun Watson, is Dak the next one on that list? His deadline to get a long-term deal done with the Cowboys is fast approaching. This is First Things First.